So, now as our first speaker, we are delighted to welcome Simon Brockington from Defra to the podium. Simon.
Well, thank you, and good morning, everybody. I think, as you are probably all aware, Minister Rebecca Powell was due here to give this introductory address this morning. And I know just how disappointing it is when ministers need to give their apologies. So, first off, I feel for you, and I'm very sorry that she's not here. And equally, she is very sorry that she's not here as well. As you're probably aware, she's the Commons lead for the Environment Bill, which is going through Commons Committee stage this week, and she is busy in preparation for that at a time which is already busy for Defra, not obviously just with EU exit, but also with agriculture bills and fisheries bills also going through Parliament at the same time. For those of you who were at Coastal Futures, you would have heard her give a remarkably impassioned speech about the marine environment. She is thoroughly interested in environmental affairs, and she is quite sorry not to be here, so I will pass her apologies on. Now, when a minister is unable to attend, it's customary for an official to give the speech for her, and with your permission, that's what I'd like to do today. The words that I have here are the ones that she would have read out to you, and where it says I, she is speaking in the first person as the minister on behalf of the current government. So I have to do something a little bit strange now and morph from being Simon into being Rebecca, and I will read these words to you, and I'm happy to take your feedback afterwards. So if she was here, the minister would have said, I would like to thank the Association of Inshore Fisheries and Conservation Authorities for organising this event and hosting us all here today. We are here to celebrate your work to protect our precious English blue belt. From regulators to scientists to environmental organisations and to local business, the work that you do to enhance our marine environment is both vital and valued. The ocean provides us with amazing natural capital. It supplies almost half of the oxygen and absorbs almost a third of the carbon dioxide that we produce, as well as providing us with a variety of goods and services such as food, recreational opportunities, transport, and renewable energy. That makes the marine environment critical to the social, economic, and environmental well-being of the entire United Kingdom. As a global leader, the work that we do here has a profound impact across the world. Our 25-year environment plan is clear. We will be the first generation to leave the environment in a better state than in which we found it. The UK Marine Strategy is vital to that ambition. It sets out a robust framework for achieving and maintaining good environmental status for our seas. The UK Marine Strategy report, published in October of last year, showed good progress over the last 6 years. Importantly, it also made clear the further steps needed to keep moving our seas towards good environmental status and set updated targets that will help us along the way. In October of this year, in 2020, this government will publish a report setting out the monitoring programs that we will use to track our progress against those targets, ensuring that we are progressing towards the United Kingdom's shared vision for clean, healthy, safe, productive, and biologically diverse seas. Our English blue belt of marine protected areas is critical to meeting those targets and to achieving that shared vision. As you know, this government takes marine protection extremely seriously. With 40% of English waters already protected, we have exceeded current global targets to protect 10% of marine and coastal areas by 2020. At the same time, we're pushing internationally for new global targets to protect 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. At home, I am proud to have over 350 marine protected areas, including the 2 new special protection areas that I announced earlier this year for bird protection. Beyond protecting marine biodiversity, these MPAs play a vital role in the battle against climate change. They include important carbon sink habitats, such as seagrass and coastal salt marsh, and this is an area where we're considering expanding the protections even further. By removing human pressures, they make our sea life more resilient and in the face of climate change effects, such as increasingly frequent storm events. Now, it is our collective responsibility to manage all of those MPAs to the highest possible standards. And securing those management measures within our marine protected areas would not be possible without your commitment. I congratulate the inshore fisheries and conservation authorities and the Marine Management Organisation on their impressive contributions. I was particularly pleased to learn that sensitive features in over 90 MPAs are now protected from bottom-towed fishing gear. Now, of course, effective management must extend to all potentially damaging activities, and I'm delighted to recognise the breadth of work in that regard. From the two IFCAs protecting black bream by managing recreational angling during the breeding season, to the Marine Management Organisation's work protecting seagrass habitats from damage by anchoring and mooring yachts. And I would particularly also like to thank the Association of IFCAs for their recent successes, including in particular the Defra Managed project, which connects and unifies work to assess and manage fishing activities within MPAs. A year after its launch, the Association's report exemplifies good practice in management and working partnerships across the whole Defra marine system and beyond. IFCAs play a vital role in bringing communities together to develop management solutions that are tailored to local circumstances, and I know the Minister was keen to hear more about that had she been here today. Despite this excellent work to designate and manage sites, we are not resting on our laurels. Instead, we're considering ways which protected areas can make an even greater contribution to the marine environment. Marine conservation zones and special areas of conservation are an important step in providing for the sustainable use of the marine environment, and they're increasingly successful in protecting features from the most damaging forms of human activity. But because sustainable fishing and development continues within MCZs and SACs, we have very few areas where the environment is allowed to fully recover. And so last June, the Secretary of State, Michael Gove, commissioned an independent review, which we now know as the Bennion Review, to explore whether and how highly protected marine areas could be introduced into Secretary of State waters. Those sites would be areas without fishing or development, aiming to show us what natural, fully recovered habitats and species could look like. Now, I know several of the IFCAs have hosted the review panel on their visits around the country, and many of you have responded to the panel's call for evidence. And I would like to thank everybody who's contributed their expert knowledge. That ambitious initiative consolidates the UK's status as a global leader, and it reinforces this government's commitment to leaving nature in a better state than which we inherited it. I look forward to receiving the panel's recommendations later this year when it's due to publish its report. Now, the UK, through all of these mechanisms, is making good progress in marine protection, but we must do more. And that's why this government is delivering groundbreaking legislation, seizing the opportunities of EU exit by providing the tools that we need to take marine protection even further. Leaving the EU is an opportunity to transform our fishing industry and to change our relationship with the marine environment, all in line with the 25-year Environment Plan. For the first time in 40 years, the UK will decide how we manage and control our waters as an independent coastal state. Currently before Parliament, the Fisheries Bill will, among many other things, extend the MMO's powers to protect the marine environment from the exploitation of sea fisheries, both inside and outside of the English Blue Belt of MPAs. Until now, the European Union's Common Fisheries Policy has been a barrier to placing management measures in our offshore sites, requiring the agreement of every single member state with an interest. Going forwards, the Fisheries Bill gives us the new powers that we will need to restore, conserve and enhance our marine environment according to the latest scientific advice and evidence. In parallel, the Environment Bill will strengthen the wider legal framework supporting those Fisheries Bill provisions. For example, the proposed Office of Environmental Protection will provide independent scrutiny for all environmental law, including that relevant to fisheries and marine conservation. These two bills are complementary, and the future fisheries policy will be guided by both. While the Environment Bill sets out overarching principles for making policy to improve our environment, the objectives in the Fisheries Bill strengthen our commitment to and our accountability in delivering sustainable and profitable fisheries into the future. Together, those bills provide the framework we'll need to deliver on this government's commitments, protecting and restoring the marine environment for future generations. And so in closing, our English Blue Belt of marine protected areas is a cornerstone of our global ambition, a vital part in executing our UK marine strategy and achieving good environmental status for our seas. And so I want to thank you once again for the hard work so far in managing and improving our current MPAs, and to restate the impact that your work has had at every scale, from local environments all the way through to the United Kingdom's ability to stand at the global stage. I look forward to this conference and to what we can accomplish together. And so those were the words that Minister Power would have provided you with had she been here. And apologies for me being in her place.
Oh, please, thank you very much, Simon, for being here. Any questions? Simon has not left the stage. So the convention that anybody vaguely political, I know you're a civil servant, disappears straight away. We've got time, I think, for one question for Simon. No, he's happy to go. Okay, Simon, thank you very much.
Pleasure. And there's quite a few members of the Defra team are here today as well, so I'm sure they'll participate.
We can get them over lunch.